Everybody, it's Laura. Welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be all about shaking off the rust as I have fallen off the Project Life wagon and I am getting back on with two simple layouts for weeks 24 and 25 in my Project Life album. Alright, let's get started. I have for this week's layout, both 24 and 25, a 2x3 grid of Project Life Page Protector, which has all 4x6 pockets. I am utilizing the April Citrus Twist Life Crafted kit called Night and Day in order to complete this week 24 layout. I start with the 3x4 cards and pull out the ones that I think I'd like to use in this week's layout. And then I go to the larger paper pack and look for any of the larger papers that I might be able to trim down to size to fit into those 4x6 pockets. I select a nice peach color as well as a celestial scene with a lovely blue color as well as some pink and white. And then I pull out a white paper that has very light green grids. I begin to trim these papers down to size, both keeping in mind that I need the 3x4 cards and then I would like to use that celestial paper for my title card, so I'll need that to be 4x6. Once I have those trimmed down, I began to look at the 3x4 cards that I had set out and I place those in my album grid and then I audition one of the cards up next to my photo of my dog and decide I don't like it and then I swap it back out for that original light grid paper. Now I taking the stamp set from the Citrus Twist June Life Crafted kit, which is called Cravings, and I knew that there were some good stamps in there that involved food and eating, so I thought that that would be a perfect complement to this photo of my bowl of ice cream. I did struggle with this larger stamp. It says I want this now, and because the sentiment is pretty long, it kept on getting wavy and wobbly when I was trying to put it on that acrylic block. I finally got it to a place where I was semi-satisfied with it. I stamp that down and then I apply another stamp that says "Get in my belly." Along the way, I did smudge some black ink on that card, so I attempted to erase it with a sand eraser, which was not the best move, but I do end up covering that up later. Now that I have those stamps down, I'm ready to begin putting my pocket cards together. I take a 4x6 index card and adhere both my photo and that "I want this now" card to that index card. I then take my journaling and do that off screen, and I come back and I begin to apply the cards that have journaling. The first one being the upper left hand corner with the photo of my husband. As always, it takes me a couple of times to get this straight and in the place where I want it. Thank goodness for repositionable adhesive. I then move down to the next card, which is right below where the photo of my husband will appear, and this is the photo of my dog. And again, a little bit of readjustment needed to get that right where I want it to be. I then take another index card and adhere my two 3x4 photos side by side to fill up that 4x6 card. And then I lay everything out just as it would appear in the album, make sure it's looking okay before moving on to my title card. I have some white thickers that I would like to use for my title card this week. They are foam, so I've previously skipped using my thickers ruler. I thought that it would be helpful to have this alignment tool because I always struggle with foam stickers and getting them straight. So I pull that out and begin to stick week 24. And as we'll see here in a minute, I don't have any more success using this method as I would applying them by hand. It ends up being pretty crooked, but when looking at it, I kind of liked that it was crooked. It felt celestial and otherworldly, so I left it a little bit wobbly. I then pull out the tags from the Citrus Twist kit. I cut out a pink tag that matches the sunburst next to my ice cream at the bottom of the page, and I use this to apply my date stamp. I don't actually have a proper date stamp. I have one from my Smash journal that I used years and years ago, but it has like an additional piece on it. So this is a challenge this week for both weeks 24 and 25 for me to get the date stamp properly applied. I usually run the date through my typewriter, but I wasn't feeling that in the moment. So I thought I would try this date stamp. It turned out okay. Not perfect, but again, I'm all right with a little imperfection as the casual crafter. I go back to my Night and Day Life Crafted kit to pick out this leatherette sticker. It's a gray sticker and it says, this makes me smile, and it pulls in some of the gray elements that are represented in some of my photographs in my couch and the bedroom photo specifically. I go to the ephemera pack from the April Life Crafted kit. I dump that out. I find one that works pretty straight away. It says hello and it's in a yellow, and I thought that that would just be a nice pop of color down there on the bottom left. And I sort through the rest. Because it is night and day themed, there wasn't a lot that tied in to this layout. I find a wood veneer piece, which actually didn't even belong in that ephemera pack, but it worked. It says little things, and I used some tacky glue to stick that to the photo of my husband vacuuming my dog. I give a quick scroll through the rest of the ephemera pack, don't find anything I like. I look at the labels to see if I want to do any additional journaling. I decide against it. So I pull out my handy dandy pencil pouch where I have my enamel dots and Puffy heart stickers. It wouldn't be a Project Life layout without Puffy heart stickers. These are from Citrus Twist. So I pull these out. I apply one to the photo of my husband and then two down on the I want this now ice cream card to cover up the unfortunate smudging. I drop these into their pockets, and that wraps up that layout. And moving right into the next, this week 25 layout goes right on the back of week 24. I have my photos pre-selected and pre-cut out. I plan to use the Damask Love 6x8 paper pad. I pre-selected some fun patterned paper that I wanted to use for my background cards as well as my title card. I start by trimming these with my guillotine trimmer. This is a trimmer that I don't always have the best luck getting things straight, so you'll see here in a couple of moments I swap it out with my traditional trimmer because it just wasn't happening for me getting those straight. I selected this fun pattern of women for my title card. I selected this fun pink photo paper for the bottom image, and then I have that light pink with sort of orange grid lines for the middle cards. And the first paper I cut out, which was the blue paper, you'll see I put up in the upper left-hand corner. With that, I feel good about the papers. I think it's fun. It matches the shirt I'm wearing as well as the scrapbook paper that I'm holding in the bottom right image. So I start to adhere things down. I start with that image of my new home workspace for working at home. I pull out the Damask Love. These were stickers that I found actually randomly in Office Depot rather. They're planner stickers, but when I saw them, I knew that I had the paper pad, so I grabbed them, and they did come in handy as I was able to grab a few embellishments for this layout. I didn't use a lot of embellishments on either this layout or the previous week 24 layout. I don't know if it was the mood I was in and I just wanted to get these done, but you'll see that they're actually pretty straightforward layouts, nothing too fancy happening with either this layout or the previous layout. I adhere down my photos onto their cards. That upper left-hand one, I didn't have any stickers that fit that one, but I knew I was going to do a great deal of journaling for that card, so I was fine moving on to the title card. I selected some black thickers for this week's title. I abandoned the Thickers alignment tool after the foam sticker debacle of week 24, and I opted to apply these by hand, as they would likely be just as crooked if I used that alignment tool. I lay out my week 25, and then I have these typecast little labels. They're translucent, so I thought that they would be perfect because I didn't want to cover up too much of this lovely patterned paper or any of the women's faces. So I take my unconventional date stamp. I attempt to do some masking to get to cover up the pieces of the date stamp that I don't want. It takes me a couple of tries, but I do get it on the third attempt, where I'm able to stamp out my date range. I do have to go back in with a pen, which you'll see in a moment, because one of the numbers didn't transfer very cleanly, and I also wanted to put a dash to represent the between that this page ran from June 14th to June 20th. There I am with the pen, and the ink was still a little wet, so I tried to very gingerly apply this. I did end up smearing it, but again, imperfection is a-okay with me. Now that I have my title card done, I wanted to work on some journaling. So I began by trimming down a small piece of white paper so that I could tackle the journaling for the upper left-hand image. I lay it out to make sure it's the right size to see that if it would look okay if I went with that size. And then I started hand writing my journaling. I do cut this out so that you don't have to watch me painstakingly handwrite. But once I get the handwritten journaling done, I decide that I don't like the way that it looks on the page. So I go back to the old trusty typewriter. I typewrite all of my journaling, and I cut this week's journaling into strips just to add a little bit more visual interest than what would have been there if I just typed blocks of journaling, because I thought the pattern paper was so fun that I didn't want to cover it up basically with just solid blocks of paper. So cutting it up in strips allows us to at least see more of that fun patterned paper. I didn't measure the spaces or the journaling as I was doing them. In going through this exercise of applying the strips to my cards, I realized it probably would have been very helpful to measure, because when I get up to the upper left hand one, I had sort of one more journaling strip than I had space for. So I end up at the bottom having two journaling strips right next to each other. And I'm not 100% in love with the way that it looks. But again, we move on and accept the things that we cannot change because they're already pretty well stuck down to our papers. Once I get that all applied, I start laying everything back out into the way that it would appear in the album. I take a look at that picture with the PB&J and the muffin, and I know it's missing something. I wanted to do a little dash of something, so I went back to the Cravings stamp kit from the June Life Crafted kit, and I pulled out a stamp that says "The Way to My Heart." I used black ink to apply that down. And with that, I call that an end, and I began putting them into their pockets. I did not use any Puffy heart stickers, so I guess contrary to what I said in the last week 24 layout, it is a Project Life layout, even if it doesn't have Puffy heart stickers. All right, everybody, thanks for checking out this video. I hope to be back soon with more fun Project Life pages. In the meantime, take care of yourself and stay safe. Bye-bye.